There I am. Okay. Can I make it bigger? I guess not. I'll be right.
Every phone company eliminate removable batteries at the exact same time. That wasn't coincidence. That was coordination. They told us it was for design. Slimmer phones, water resistance, but those were just surface level excuses because when you could take the battery out, you had real power. You could shut it all down, cut the signal, kill the tracking, stop the eavesdropping, gone, just like that. Now, press power, swipe off, hold the button, doesn't matter. The phone pretends to be off, but it's not. It still listens, still watches, alarms still work, updates still install while you sleep. Airplane mode, just a feel-good toggle. And here's what no one wants to say out loud. Every major brand, every flagship model, switched at once. No choice, no alternative. Because the system needed you to carry it, willingly, everywhere. It became the perfect surveillance tool, not forced into your life, but invited in. It tracks, it listens, it maps your every move. Why did every phone...
that one I really believe. These phones, it's just gotten out of hand so fast.
Tea. I bet you thought I was drinking tea, but, this glass is empty. You see that? There was no tea in there. And this isn't my hand. These are my hands. That's not real at all. You see, you're being lied to. You're being lied to. I bet you thought this was me, but no, this is just a reflection. This was all taking place on a mirror. It was all a mirror. It was all a lie. And I bet you thought I was wearing pants. I'm not wearing pants. And this isn't even my voice. I dubbed this over in post-production. And you're being lied to. This is all taking place on a screen, and you are being lied to. You're being lied.
Yeah. I don't want to fall into the rabbit hole within two videos, but these first two ones were actually pretty informative, let's say.
This is the biggest coincidence in history. Try asking your history teacher to explain this one.
Why is it always Joe Rogan? I've never listened to his podcast, to be completely honest with you. I just haven't. I listen to overtly Christian podcasts. I do listen to, like, conspiracy theories, but they're Christian people. I don't know anything about Joe Rogan, so don't hate me when I say that.
Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John F. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946. Lincoln became president in 1860. Kennedy became president in 1960. Both leaders were deeply committed to civil rights. Both first ladies lost a child during their time in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday.
Yeah, that last one is skep. As far as spirituality goes, that last one is skep.
And both were shot in the head. Now here's where it gets even stranger. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln. Both were assassinated by men from the South. Both were succeeded by Southerners named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who took over after Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who took over after Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth, Lincoln's assassin, was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, Kennedy's assassin, was born in 1939. Both assassins were known by their full 3 names. Both names contain exactly 15 letters. Hold on, it gets even more bizarre. Lincoln was shot in a theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a Lincoln car made by Ford. Booth and Oswald were both killed before going to trial. And finally, the wildest part. A week before Lincoln was assassinated, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before Kennedy was killed, he was with Marilyn Monroe. Lincoln was shot in a theater, and his killer fled to a warehouse. Kennedy was shot from a warehouse, and his killer ran to a theater. This is the biggest coincidence.
Can someone tell me if I'm the crazy one here? Because I generally don't think this is normal. So I'm expecting a package, right? I get the delivery notification. I go to check my door and it's gone. I check my door camera and I see my neighbor walk up to my door, pick it up and just walk away. So I go out there, I knock on her door and I'm like, hey, I think you got my package. And she goes, oh, I thought it was for me. Like if my name and address is on the label. She tries to give it back to me and it's already open. And then I remembered This did not happen to me. It happened to someone on Reddit that I read at 3 a.m. There are so many stories like this and more on Reddit. Reddit is the heart of the internet, with millions of people conversing, creating, and connecting all in one place. If I ever need advice or I'm looking for something super niche, I always find the answers on Reddit. So join me and millions of others and tap the video to download Reddit for free today.
Conspiracy theories that will change your perspective on life. The last
I have read it, don't worry.
one is the most shocking. The Big Bounce theory. It states that if the Big Bang occurred from nothing, then there will be no changing fact the next time the universe is created. This means that when our universe ends and another is created, it will be created in the exact same way with the exact same galaxies, planets, and species. If this is true, our entire universe is in an endless cycle of creating and destroying itself, and you will be born into every universe endlessly. You can actually see who blocks you on TikTok. It's the first person that appears when you click.
The rule of 100 states that if you spend 100 hours in a year, which is 18 minutes a day, all of us, in any discipline, karate, violin, piano, whatever, if you spend 18 minutes a day, which is 100 hours a year, you'll be better than 95% of the world in that discipline. The rule of 100 states that if you
ever notice how
I very strongly believe that you can learn skills and learn and earn those skills with dedication. I don't know about 18 minutes a day. That seems pretty like a secret or whatever you want to call it, but practice makes perfect, bro. That's why I read my Bible so much.
smart people keep telling you the world map is complete? Oh yeah, totally. Because of course the entire Earth fits neatly into one cute little globe, wrapped in borders they drew for us like training wheels. Here's the thing, old maps showed extra continents, outer lands, whole regions labeled, here be giants. But sure, those were just doodles, medieval fan art, nothing to see there. And Antarctica? Oh, please, just a giant ice cube at the bottom of a spinning ball. Nothing strange about the most protected place on Earth being a frozen wasteland. No.
I will tell you, I fall into the category of I do not believe the reason Antarctica is in this, how do you call it, generic treaty of the entire world, because we can't agree on freaking what they call Skittles in the UK and US. We can't get any bills passed. But as soon as someone got to Antarctica, we made a treaty, and then the first person who thought he was going to make it to the middle of Antarctica found a flag there already. There's lots of goofy stuff about Antarctica that we have no idea about. And I don't really, in that whole, what was it? It was like the flat earthers were going to go down there and make it past the ice wall. Like, you ain't making it past the military, dog.
One is allowed to own, explore, or fly over. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Then there's the treaty. Every world power agreeing instantly to leave it alone. Because if there's anything governments love doing, it's cooperating selflessly for 70 years. Totally believable. But my favorite part? The maps that slip through the cracks. The ones showing rings of land outside the ice wall. Civilizations not plugged into our little system. Territories that conveniently vanished once satellites and official cartography showed up. But I'm sure that's coincidence. Everything is. Compasses glitching near Antarctica, people reporting mountains where the map says ocean, ancient cultures describing Earth as a realm with outer gates. Yep, all imagination. Humans just happen to hallucinate the same images for 5,000 years. Very logical. Look, the world they gave you is the tutorial level. The real one starts outside the fence, but hey, keep staring at your globe. I'm sure it's the whole story.
You know, people always ask me.
I don't know how God created the earth. I don't know if NASA, which means too deceived. I I don't know. I'm looking at the next one, and they're partnering with TikTok. So
I have a theory that the Mandela effect is used to see how much of history can be altered in front of our eyes. Here's a prime example of one of that. There's this woman on TikTok who was going crazy because she swore the Fruit of the Loom had a cornucopia logo. And to the point that even Fruit of the Loom themselves put a timeline of all their logos and it never had a cornucopia. And this woman went hard. Her therapist told her, yo, you need to chill out. You need to just drop this. So she went through all of her old clothing, and lo and behold, she found a shirt with the Fruit of the Loom with the cornucopia logo on it. That shows me, like, yo, I think the Mandela effect is an operation that's running around right now to see how much of history can be altered right in front of our eyes without us noticing. And then they gaslight the public and be like, nope, this never happened. Damn, I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, bro, people are thinking about it very little. Like, oh, it's the Berenstain Bears or the Berenstein Bears or Jiffy or Jif's peanut butter. No, it's much larger than that, guys. They're using this to see,
it was Jiffy.
If we can get people to forget certain primary things about their childhood, what can we do with history? This woman disappeared after revealing the dark truth about how to achieve anything fast. Let's listen in.
This is how to get anything you
That sounds like some witchcraft. Let's listen up.
want. The mirror principle. The mirror principle tells us that reality is like a mirror. You have an image and you have a reflection. What happens is that you cannot change the reflection. You need to just change the image, right? I can't change the reflection. I need to change what I'm putting in front of the mirror. The image is your life. I'm sorry, the reflection is your life. And the image is your mind. Whatever your mind thinks is what's going to be reflected into your life.
Manifest.
You know how they say Hollywood tells you the truth or what they're going to do in movies? Well, it couldn't be more true in this movie, which was in 1997. It's called Conspiracy Theory. And I was not awake in 1997. I am now, and oh my gosh, here is the opening scene to the movie. You might want to go watch it again.
July 8, 1979, all the fathers of Nobel Prize winners were rounded up by United Nations military units, all right? And actually forced at gunpoint.
That was a great intro.
To give semen samples in little plastic jars, which are now stored below Rockefeller Center underneath the ice skating rink. Wouldn't want to be there for the thaw. Ugh. I mean, it's disgusting. You know what they put in the water, don't you? Fluoride. Yeah, fluoride. On the pretext that it strengthens your teeth. That's ridiculous. You know what this stuff does to you? It actually weakens your will. Takes away the capacity for free and creative thought and makes you a slave to the state. You ever wonder about all these militia groups, survivalist type groups from the right wing side? They say that they're defending the country from the UN troops. These guys are yelling so loud. My theory is, and this is a conspiracy, pal, that they are the UN troops.
Of course
and that
it's
they're in
him.
place. The infrastructure ready.
Cry. Of course. It's Mel Gibson.
When the time comes, they'll just take over. We'll all be told. Oswald, yeah, Oswald. That's what I said, Oswald. He said, I'm just a patsy, and that means that he didn't do it, right? One of the Arm and Hammer goes to the doctor, and the doctor said, hey, Armin, you've only got 3 minutes to live. And he says, oh, my God, that's terrible news. Isn't there anything you can do for me, Doc? 3 minutes. And the doctor says, well, Armin, I can boil you an egg. I guess not. All right. Did you ever see those advertisements like, got milk? You think you're living in a free country? You think this is a democracy? Of course it's not. Websites, newsletters, self-published manifestos, they think we're kooks. I mean, George Bush knew what he was saying when he said New World Order. Remember those big old words, New World Order? Well, he was a 33rd degree Mason, you know, and as ex-director of the CIA. He knew that saying that was sends conspirologists everywhere spinning their wheels, and they destroy their own credibility. I'm sure your heart's in the right place, okay? But, you know, somebody's got to lift the scab, the festering scab that is the Vatican. The chip for identification so they can track down an animal anywhere he's at. You'll insert it under the dog's skin, and it's kind of like an identification thing. I mean, it's only a small, logical step, so they start putting it in us and our children. And then, before we know it, my God, they'll probably come with a treatment. Oh, sure, yeah. Hey, is that
Yo, this is 1997. I am falling down this rabbit hole today. I usually don't. Holy smokes.
You know where they changed the picture of Ben Freddy Woodland? Yeah. He looks like the love child of the Fred Mertz and Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, get rid of him as soon as you can, Ray. You look at it up to the light. You see the metal strip in it? That's a tracking device. You gotta be more of them, you know. Get rid of it.
The Twin Towers right there.
They'll follow you. They know where every one of those happens.
Yo.
You know how they say Hollywood tells you the truth?
I told y'all not to check your city because it will freak you out. This app called...
Take this piece off here, and put it over here. And now you see, the United States is no longer in the middle of the map.
Right.
Now, I did this with a major record company in New York City, I think in 1970. And an older man stood up in the back of the room and said, "Now, Elliot, you've gone too far." I said, "What's your problem?" "You can't do that with the map." I said, "Well, actually you can." He said, "No, the United States isn't in the middle of the map anymore." I said, "The United States never was in the middle of the map. You need to realize this depends on how you draw your map." And then I pointed this little fact out to him. South America is actually 9 times larger than Greenland.
Even though it doesn't really look like it.
No, it is. South America is actually 9 times larger than Greenland.
It's crazy.
Now, according to your social studies teachers, what is the equator? Halfway between the North Pole and the South Pole on this map would be right about here.
Right.
And that means that Iowa has a semi-tropical climate. Well, you've been in Minnesota in the wintertime.
I've been in Iowa too. It's definitely
You know that it doesn't have a tropical climate. So you have to then introduce a real version of the map of the world. That's what this is doing.
That's very good.
The Peters projection map. The sizes on this map are right. The shapes are distorted.
How small
Look
the
at
United States
Greenland on
is.
this map. Right there. See it?
Yeah, it's really tiny.
See how small that is?
Right.
Look at it on the Mercator projection.
So why do they do that? I don't understand.
Why? Because the Pope commissioned Mercator to make a map that shows the spread of Christianity. So all the countries in which there are predominantly white people are larger than those in the southern part of the world,
That's
halfway between
jacked
the North
up.
Pole and South Pole. Now, if you have children going to school and they're seeing this map.
Wow.
Cells get together, take on one form, deform, reform. Makes no difference, it's all the same. One is their unit of measure, but it's not all.
Okay, here's another conspiracy theory. You've seen all the grainy footage of nuclear test blasts that you've
Sure.
with the mushroom clouds, and there are always these grainy things, and there's all these like little houses lined up and these little trees lined up, and that blows everything down. Yeah. Okay, so here's the question, right? So what happened? Okay, so this is great. Okay, you'll love this. So what happened to the camera?
You son of a bitch.
How is that happening yet the camera is like totally stable and fine?
Oh my god.
And by the way, and the film is fine. The radiation didn't cause any damage to the film.
Oh my god.
By the way, okay, we'll do this one. We'll do the one more time here. Let's see the car.
The car's right behind the house. It just showed up.
Oh,
okay.
it just showed up.
So wait a minute. First of all,
wasn't there.
First of all, where'd the car
No
come
car.
from?
Yeah. No car.
The second is, does it really look like
car?
Does that look like a real car?
That's insane.
Is that a house or is that like
Yeah.
is that a 12-inch scale model?
What?
Right.
That does look fake.
There's also the camera didn't move at all either.
You know what it looks like? It looks like the smoke is too big. Watch when it hits. Like the volume, like the size of it, it looks small.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, it looks like we're looking at something that's like a few inches tall.
If you watch like making of Star Wars, any movies before CGI, whenever they do anything like that, it's always with these tiny models.
Yes. Yeah, this looks fake as shit.
Let's get another one. It's like, okay, what the camera's fine.
That's hilarious.
Oh, this is a good.
Y'all know how
Simulator.
I will tell you.
y'all know how
Oops.
our skin turns green.
But what the heck? The atomic bomb is very real, though. We definitely dropped it on Japan. We did.
Or when we wear copper or fake jewelry. Watch this.
So when you turn green from wearing that necklace or that ring or that bracelet or that watch too long, them earrings, you're exposing your true skin color.
Stay with me. Melanin and plants go through the same photosynthesis. We absorb the sun the same as plants do. The only difference we have with plants is that they have magnesium and we have iron. Now we know that our bodies are made up of a lot of water, almost 80%, 75. A lot of oxygen. What color does iron take when it's in water? That would explain why we are copper-colored beings. Now, when a leaf dies or falls in frequency, it turns the same color of our copper-colored skin. It loses its green color. They also try to say that the green veins we see in our skin is just a trick of light. Now, some babies are also born with green skin patches on them, and they didn't have no fake jewelry. And have y'all found it fascinating that babies don't have to drink water? You almost have to force them to drink it. Look, top 10 tips to get your kids to drink water, to get them more exposed to this oxygen. And some people say that could be the reason why our bodies age. Because DNA passes down and stays alive forever because it's the magnesium that holds it together and keeps it alive, protects it. Now, plants are green. They don't have iron. They have magnesium. Now, we know in Egypt that Osiris is green. He had green skin, immortality, magnesium. Even when we come out the womb, it says our bodies aren't suited for water for several months. Also, they can't tell where our genes originate. The civilizations that we built, the knowledge that we had. It is the oldest human DNA.
Each of these toroidal fields also has its own sun and moon. Saturn and Jupiter revolving around the outer torus field. Mars and Venus on the next toroidal field. Apollo and Artemis, or our sun and moon, on our torus field. But in the center, there is only one androgynous sun and moon, which is Mercury on the inside, okay? On this torus field, the aurora borealis. The next question, or the next natural question, would be, well, what's above these toroidal fields? Above all the toroidal fields, we've got something known as the firmament. Okay, this is where the stars are. This is what we see when you look up at the sky in the evening. All the stars and the constellations. This is the firmament.
Why does this place think I'm a flat earther?
That sits above the last inner toroidal field. The one that Saturn and Jupiter revolves around. Okay, so that will be the cosmic egg on top. In fact, I'll put it together. So that's what it looks like, right? This would be the firmament inside this torus egg, okay? The sky that runs across, okay? So it's almost like a dome, okay? So we're sealed off from these realms above. And I'll explain all that in a second, right? So when we're looking at it from underneath, when we're sat on the earth, we're seeing all the constellations revolving above us, okay? So pretty straightforward, really. So that's the firmament, okay? So this firmament, on its axis, right, is revolving, okay? There's motion, everything's moving above us, but the terra firma we're standing on is obviously not moving, okay? So this axis is revolving, it's turning the firmament with all the stars and the constellations and everything else. In turn, it's also affecting the motions of these toroidal fields that are spinning around us, like we discussed earlier on. Those toroidal fields are also carrying the suns and moons around, which is causing our days and nights and seasons and times, okay? And that in turn, that motion is also creating our weather, our winds, our currents, flows, airstreams, everything else. So it's one big system working together. It's a network starting from the cosmic vortex. Okay, so what that would look like is something like this. Okay, now interestingly enough, okay, we talked about the planets. I suppose many people will be asking, what about Uranus and Neptune and Pluto? Okay, so I think Uranus and Neptune are the two realms above. Okay, so Uranus is the firmament above us. Why am I saying this? Well, Mother Gaia, we all know, is Earth in Greek mythology, okay? Gaia was married to Uranus, right? The planet Uranus, as they tell us, Uranus was named after Gaia's husband, Uranus. Uranus married to Uranus. These two are married, okay? They go hand in hand. Same thing with Kemetic Egyptian mythology, okay? You've got Mother Geb. She was married to the Egyptian god Nut. And Nut is always depicted as the sky, okay? So Uranus, Nut, Uranus, same thing, okay? They also tell us that Uranus and Neptune are kind of planets, but they're exoplanets. They don't go in the same category as these 7 wandering stars, okay? They put in a different category, and that's the reason why, okay? Pluto the planet Pluto was named after the Greek god of the underworlds, and that's because Pluto is the firmament below us. As above, so below. There's a firmament above us, but there's also a firmament.
I ain't gonna lie, this dude lost me a long time ago.
Imagine that this folder is a dimensional plane.
This guy.
Now, assuming that it is no height and no depth, what would this mean? It would mean that it's a one-dimensional world. So if, hypothetically, an organism was living inside of it, it would only be able to move in a linear path forward and backwards in a straight line. Now, if we go to the second dimension, we have 2 dimensions. We have width and we have length. So hypothetically, if an organism lived inside of here, then it would be able to move up, down, left, right, and anywhere else in between. And a 2-dimensional world is comprised of an infinite series of 1-dimensional worlds stacked upon each other. Just as our 3-dimensional world, which has depth and length and height, is comprised of an infinite series of 2-dimensional worlds. So, now that I've stacked many folders upon each other, we have 3 dimensions. We have depth, we have length, and we have width. Now what happens if you keep going on from here on out? We would have a 4-dimensional world. But what exactly is the 4th dimension? In order to understand this, we need to understand how dimensions are perceived. We live in the 3-dimensional world, but despite that, we actually view things to be 2-dimensionally. Take a perfect sphere, for example. If you're looking at a sphere, it looks just like a regular 2-dimensional circle. The only way that you can tell it's an actual sphere instead of a circle is because of the hues of light down. So just like in a 2-dimensional world, if a organism in the 2-dimensional world was looking upon a circle, the light...
Simulated trading...
There's a theory going around that people who've never broken a bone aren't normal, not special, not lucky, just different. Some say their bones don't break because they're not supposed to, like their body knows something we don't. Or worse, that they're not fully human. There's even talk in certain forums, people wondering why these individuals also tend to heal fast, don't get sick often, and sometimes don't even remember major injuries. One theory says they're part of a hidden group, a genetic experiment, or something older, something not from here. But here's the weirdest
The Nephilim. Gosh darn it.
part. A handful of people who've never broken a bone, they all disappeared after sudden freak accidents. Coincidence? Or did something come back for them? So, have you ever broken a bone? There's a theory going around that people who've never broken a